Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Leanne, the Kiwi Yogi, and I just wanted to, before we begin, thank you so much for your support, your ongoing support in continuing to watch my channel and support my clips. So today we're just going to move through a nice body flow, the sun shining outside. I'm feeling like I've got a little bit more energy, so let's get this ramped up and let's get started on our mat. We want to be a little stronger. Okay, as we begin, I just want to get started on the floor, so you can just take a nice comfortable seated position. I'm actually going to get you come down onto your knees. I'm going to come through child's pose. So at the back of your mat, take your big toes to touch, your knees wide, and then keeping your bottom back towards your heels, walk your hands forward and soften the forehead down. As your forehead comes down, just start to soften the chest down toward the floor. Lengthen your fingers forward. Make sure your hands are about shoulder width apart, spreading your fingers nice and wide. And almost like you're gripping the mat, like you're going to claw yourself up the mat with the fingertips. Engage the arms and you'll feel the sides of the waist become long. Now press through the fingertips and sink the weight of the buttocks back towards the heels. And you'll feel a real lengthening through the spine. You'll feel the shoulders creep up around your ears. And it's here that we just want to try to soften a little here. So a little bit of activity, pressing the hips back and lengthening the body long. Let's take a few breaths, just arriving for our practice. Just letting go of the thoughts and arriving to the rhythm of our breath. Noticing the breath flow in and out of the body. Just letting everything else fall away. And then on your next inhale, we're slowly just going to rise back on up. Draw the hands in underneath the shoulders and draw the knees in underneath the hips. Now let's just start to press out through the hands. So if your wrists are feeling a little tight or tense and even feeling the weight rocking forward and back, you'll notice the shift through the joints. So just I invite you to really just walk the hands out, just placing the fingers down, spreading the hands out super wide, press through the fingertips, press through the knuckles, and start to lift your torso and chest away from the floor. Nice, and then start to shift the weight forward and back, just as I quickly did before, and then just slowly releasing. I want you to tuck your toes at the back of the mat, take your knees together so your ankle bones touch, and then walk your hands back, sitting up onto the heels into a little toe squat here. Sit up nice and tall, opening through the chest, squeeze gently the shoulder blades in towards each other at the back of the mat, opening through the heart. So if you haven't already, just pull out the little toes out either side of the mat, and just sitting the weight into the heels. Take a full breath in through the nose. Long exhale out. And then from here, just slowly release. Come back over onto your hands. Release the toes, scrunch the toes up, and gently pat the tops of feet to the floor. Awesome. From here, let's just pivot those fingers back toward the knees. So you're spinning the hands away from the center of your body and back towards the knees. Now, if your wrists are quite tight, then this might be quite uncomfortable. You can just turn your fingers to face the outside edges of your mat, just to take the pressure off. The more that you spin the fingers back to face toward the knees, the more intense it's going to be for the wrists. Now, take your time here. You can just, again, walk out the wrists. Just lifting one heel up at a time and gently placing it down. And start to squeeze the thighs on, starting to straighten through the arms. Remember, you can bend your elbows if you want to. Try to lift your chest away from the mat if you can. So a little rounding in the spine so we're not collapsing in through the shoulders. Nice, just shifting the weight forward and back here. Beautiful. And then from here, just rolling back onto the feet. Take the back of the hands to the mat and fingers point in towards each other this time. Micro bend through the elbows so you can just kind of bend and soften in. And then as you press the back of the hands into the floor and pull the fingers away from each other, so you're not really dragging them off the mat, you're just doing the sensation of opposing energies, pulling them away. And then start to straighten through the arms, shoulders over top of the wrists, and start to shift the weight from left to right, feeling through the back of the wrist. This one can be quite intense, so so just take your time. And nice. And then from here, just come back to center, and then just spin the fingers to face the outside edges of your mat. Back of the wrists coming towards each other. Now the back of the hands may not come all the way down, and that's okay. But from here, the further away your hands are from each other, the less intense, the more that you walk the hands in towards each other and squeeze the arms on, starting to turn the hands towards each other, or the forearms towards each other, towards the front of your mat, then the more intense the stretch will be. Again, shifting weight from left to right. Just take one more breath there. And that full exhale out. And then from here, tucking your toes to the back of your mat or coming to the tops of the feet, just slowly rise on up. Make fists with the wrists, so tight little fists, and just gently roll the wrists out. Just going in one direction. And then let's just change directions, going in the opposite way. Beautiful. Little flick out through the wrists and release. All right, so from here, let's come back through to the mat, and we're going to take a downward facing dog. Okay, so I always love to start this from this position of child's pose, balasana, with a wide-legged option here. So sitting back onto the heels, walk your hands forward, make sure your hands are shoulder width apart, spreading your fingers nice and wide, and then when you're ready, keep the hands planted where they are, tuck your toes to the back of the mat, and then from here, pull your belly in and tilt the pelvis down. Now, as you press through the hands, start to engage the core and lift your knees up off the ground. Now, the feet are about hip width apart, and start to turn the knees to face toward the front of your mat. As you exhale, start to take the hips up towards the sky. Keep the knees bent and let the head hang down, straightening through your arms. Just adjust the feet, ground down through the fingers. This mat is awesome. I am not slipping and going anywhere. So if you're finding that you're slipping, it's just investing in a good quality mat or a non-slip towel. Or the other thing I like to give you a little bit of idea on is pressing through the fingertips and the knuckles, like you're trying to claw your way up the mat. So you're not just pressing away, you're actually grounding, pressing through the hands. Let's start to walk out that down dog. So bend one knee and taking the opposite heel down toward the floor. Just starting to lengthen the hamstrings, just slowly pressing out through the hands. Let the head hang down. Try not to look at the screen too much for this one. Let the head hang down, giving the neck a gentle shake from side to side and forward and back. And then soften both heels down at the same time. Let's pigeon toe the feet a little. Take the heels a little wider, toes slightly in, and just feel a little bit of a variation on your down dog. As you sink the heels down, you'll find the hamstrings might come down a little easier. Take one more breath in and a long exhale out. On your inhale, float forward into a plank position, shoulders over top of the wrists, belly draws in. You can come down to the knees if you need to. Keep pressing through the hands and keep drawing the chest and the heart away from the floor. Exhale, engage the core, shift the hips up high, bend your knees if you need to, and come back into your down face dog. So remember, the heels don't have to reach the floor, the legs don't have to be straight. It's all about activation through the hands, pressing through the hands, up the arms toward the hips, and then softening the heels down. They don't have to meet the floor. Breathe here. This is also known as an inversion, so the head is below the heart. Nice. Breathing there. On your inhale, float forward, plank position, shoulders over top of the wrist, knees to the ground if you need to. Exhale, lift the hips high, press back, down face dog. Take a full breath in and a long exhale out. From here, take your left leg toward the sky, three-legged dog, lift the leg up nice and high. Try to soften the right heel down. As you exhale, curl the left knee in towards the chest and float forward into a tiger curl. Exhale, extend the leg back and behind, three-legged dog. Nice, let's do two more of those. Floating the knee in towards the chest. Exhale, rounding and lifting back to three-legged dog. Last one. Inhale, draw it in. Exhale, press back. Awesome. From here, take the foot back down to the floor, back into your down dog, and release the left knee down to the ground. Take your hand, your left hand beneath your face really, or between the center of your mat to the center of your mat. And then we're going to inhale, start to turn the body over toward the right as you extend the top hand towards the sky. So this is a side plank here. Now option here, if you need to, you can pivot that foot out onto a 90-degree angle and lift the hips a little higher. Or option here as well is to start to straighten through the bottom leg and lift the hips up high. So you don't want the shoulder directly over the wrist here. You want it a little further forward and keep lifting through the hips. Take that full breath in. And as you exhale, release the right hand down. Come back to your plank. Hold there for the breath. And exhale, press back to down face dog. Soften the heels down as you exhale. Nice, smooth breath in. Long exhale out. From here, take your right leg toward the sky, three-legged dog, lifting it up, squeezing the glute on to lift the leg. And as you exhale, curl the knee towards the chest, coming into that tiger curl, really rounding the upper body, drawing the knee away from the floor. Inhale, extend the leg high, three-legged dog. Curl it in, that's two. I'm going to do one more of these, extending the leg back up and behind. And drawing it in. Draw the breath in, let the breath out. Nice, take the leg high and slowly release the foot back down. Now this time you're going to take your right knee to the ground. Option again, if you want to take that foot onto a 90-degree angle and then take your right hand beneath the face up. Option here of staying here, or you might want to press out through that bottom hand, start to straighten through the bottom leg, taking the toes in front of the left toes. So you've got the edges of the foot to the floor as you lift your hips up. Full breath in, long exhale out. Slowly release, taking your hands back to the floor, plank position, and then press back, down face dog. Soften the heels down as you exhale. Slowly look to the front of your mat, and super slowly, we're going to walk the feet all the way to the top of the mat. Keep your hands planted down, so bend your knees, take your big toes to touch, hands still planted down, and then just fold over the legs. So you can take a bind here, taking hand to opposite elbow, behind the knees, or in front, and let the head hang down. Take a full breath in, nice smooth breath out. One more of those. Exhale, release the fingers down. I'm going to come into a halfway lift, Adho Uttanasana. So hands to the shins or fingertips to the floor. Squeeze your shoulder blades in towards each other at the back of the body. Draw the belly in. As you exhale, fold over the legs. Uttanasana. Bending through the knees, press out through the feet. Rising on up, super slow. As you inhale, float the hands up and overhead, palms touch. Exhale, release, hands to heart center. Let's just take a moment here to ground down through the feet. Sensation, travel up through the legs, squeezing gently through the front of the thighs, the kneecaps lift. Draw the belly in, tucking the tailbone under slightly. Feel that continued activation up through sides of waist as the heart lifts. Sides of waist are firm. Shoulders soften down, broadening through the collarbones. Just draw the chin slightly back into the mid-throat, lengthening through the back of the neck and reaching the crown of head nice and tall. Breathe one more breath here. Long exhale out. Inhale, gently open your eyes, release the hands alongside the body, palms facing forward. Let's work our way through some Surya Namaskars from here. So you're going to inhale, float the hands up, palms touch. As you exhale, fold forward, hinging from the hips. Take your time coming down, bend your knees if you need to. Let the head hang all the way down. Taking your fingertips to the floor, either there or the shins, halfway lift, draw the belly in, squeeze the shoulder blades in towards each other. And then from here, sliding your fingers back in line with the heels, surrendering over. Then shifting the weight into the right foot as you step your left foot back. Nice long step back into a lunge, lowering the hips down. Fingers either side of the front foot now. And remember, you can release the back knee to the ground, top of the foot to the floor, or tuck in the toes. Really up to you and where you want to go with this. Opening through the chest. If the floor is too far away, take the top hand to the thigh, breathing deep. And exhale, releasing to the floor. You're going to take that right foot back to meet the left to a kneeling plank. Now, if you're pregnant or menstruating, stay here. Otherwise, we're going to lower down chaturanga to the floor. Drawing the elbows in alongside the ribs, they point behind you and you're lowering your chest down. Come all the way down into the belly. As you inhale, squeeze the legs, tops of feet press down, elbows point behind you, open up through front of chest, gazing forward, baby cobra. As you exhale, release the forehead down, tuck the toes, press out through hands and knees, come back through kneeling plank. Everybody rejoining now and shifting the hips up and back to down face dog. So remember that transition, hips come high, rounding down through the hands, and we're slowly taking the heels down. Adjust your body as you need to. Let the weight of the head fully go. One more breath. Long exhale out. From here, take your right leg toward the sky, three-legged dog. As you exhale, curl the knee towards the chest, step the foot forward to the inside of the right thumb. Again, back knee to the ground if you need to, or stay high with the knee. Step the left to meet the right and fold over the legs. Inhale, rising on up, palms touch above the head. Exhale, release, hands to heart center. Let's take this over to the next side. Inhale, reaching up, palms touch. Exhale, folding forward, hinging from the hips. Letting the body hang over, surrendering. Halfway lift, fingers to the floor, hands to the shins. Squeeze your shoulder blades in towards each other, broadening through the collarbones. As you exhale, fold over, fingers in line with the heels, and this time you're stepping the right foot back into your lunge. Lowering the hips down, knee can come to the ground if it needs to, but pull the shoulders back towards the hips, opening and lengthening through sides of neck. Full breath in. As you exhale, take the hands to the floor, stepping the left foot back to meet the right. Plank position, stay high in plank if you want, or lowering down to the knees. If you are pregnant or menstruating, staying high. As you exhale, we're lowering down, chaturanga to the floor. Inhale, cobra pose, tops of feet pressing down, squeezing the thighs, the kneecaps lift up. There's no real weight through the hands. We're using the back muscles to open through the front body. Draw the belly in. As you exhale, folding forward toward the floor, releasing, tucking the toes, everybody pressing back through a kneeling plank. Shift the hips back, tucking toes, lift the hips up, down face dog. Soften the heels down as you exhale. Take a full breath in. Let the head hang down on your exhale. From here, take your left leg toward the sky, three-legged dog. Curl the knee towards the chest, step the foot forward to the inside of the left thumb, low lunge. Step the right to meet the left and fold over the legs. Inhale, rising on up, palms touch above the head. Exhale, release, hands to heart center. Let's take one more round each side from here, so taking your time. You can step it up a little faster if you want, remembering one breath, one movement. Or you can keep it the same slow pace that you need to and just allow yourself some time to make it back. So from the top of your mat, release your hands. Inhale, float the hands up, palms touch. Gaze to the fingers if you like. As you exhale, fold forward, hinging from the hips, following the fingers as you lengthen the body long. Inhale, halfway lift, fingers to the floor, hands to the shins. Sliding your fingers back in line with the heels, step the left foot back into your lunge. Knees or toes sit down through the hips, open through the heart, spine is long. Nice, pressing back into your plank. Knees or toes, staying there if you're pregnant or menstruating, and lowering down, chaturanga to the floor. Open up, baby cobra, or maybe turning tops of feet down, upward facing dog, broaden through the collarbone, squeeze the thighs on. The thighs are not on the floor here. Nice, exhale, tuck the toes, shift the hips back and up. Everybody rejoining back in down face dog. Soften the heels down as you exhale. Take a moment here for everyone to catch their breath, take their time, and soften the heels down. Take your right leg toward the sky, three-legged dog. Curl the knee towards the chest, step the foot forward, low lunge. Step the left to meet the right, fold over the legs. Inhale, rising on up, palms touch above the head. Exhale, release, hands to heart center. Last time on the left. Now inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward, hinging from the hips. Come into your halfway lift. Squeeze your shoulder blades in towards each other. Draw the belly in. Exhale, slide your fingers in line with the heels and step your right foot back into a lunge. So we're opening through the left side of the body now. Sitting down through the hips. Nice, pressing back into your plank, knees or toes, your practice, and lowering down, your option, remember, chaturanga to the floor. You can come into your up dog from here, if you like, squeezing the thighs on, pressing tops of feet to the floor, opening through the heart, keep squeezing the thighs on, squeeze your shoulder blades in towards each other. Nice, shift the hips back and up, down face dog. Take your time, allow extra breath to settle here, and soften down. One more breath. From here, take your left leg toward the sky, three-legged dog. Curl the knee towards the chest, step the foot forward, low lunge, knee or toe. Step the right to meet the left, fold over the legs. Inhale, rising on up, palms touch above the head. Exhale, release hands to heart center, close down your eyes, thumbs pointing back toward the heart. Shoulders are soft. Allow the breath to naturally lengthen, smoothen out. Just feeling that heart beating in the chest and the blood pumping in the veins. Life itself in movement. Slowly release your hands, give a little shake out through the body, and then we're going to have a little play with some balance. Now I know we did a little bit of balance in my last class, but I wanted to extend that a little bit more to keep building on these foundations for you guys. So let's have a little play. From here, let's start at the top of your mat. Take your big toes to touch. Actually, I'm going to start at the other end just so that you guys can see me as I step back. I'm going to step my left thigh back first. You can stay where you are. Step your hands to the hips and then step your left leg back into a lunge position. So we're going to start in a high lunge here. Now start to bend through the front knee and the back heel can be lifted. If you need to bend that back knee, you can. Otherwise, the more you start to squeeze the thigh on and straighten through that back leg, keeping the bend through the front knee, you'll get a little bit more of an opening through that front hip flexor. Nice, breathing there, high lunge. And then from here, I'm going to sweep the fingers forward and up, rising on up. Breathe all the way into the belly. Smooth breath in. Long exhale out. Nice. From here, you're going to keep your left arm extended toward the sky. You're going to drop your right arm over toward the floor alongside the body. So it's from the side view, it looks like this. And then reaching up through the left hand, just start to extend the right fingers down toward the floor. So you're getting a beautiful side stretch here. Breathing into side of body. Focusing on a point that you can maintain your balance. Slowly rise on up. And then exhale, release hands to the hips. Start to straighten through the front leg. Keep the back heel lifted nice and high. Turn the hips to square off to the front of your mat. And then from here, tilting from the hips, start to fold forward towards that front leg. Don't worry if you don't come all the way down. Lead with the heart. Keep the collarbones broadened. So when you're leading with your heart, it's basically the torso is coming down in one line. And you can feel a little wobbly, that's okay. But you want to keep the spine long, and if you can, start to release your fingers to the floor. If you need to, gently hop the left foot in slightly. And then from here, just keeping the spine long, draw the right hip back and the front of the left hip forward. Keep gazing down toward the front foot, no strain through the neck. And if you want to go a little deeper, you just start to bend your elbows and let the head hang down. Keep lifting that back heel. Come up onto the ball of the back foot to give you a little bit more height. Take one more breath here. Nice. Exhale, slowly release, rising on up, halfway. And then from here, you're going to shift that right foot back into a short down dog. Okay, so short down dog from here. So it's not as wide as, as long as you would normally do. Spread the hands nice and wide. Even shorten it a little bit more so the heels release all the way down to the floor. Smooth breath in, long exhale out. From here, you're going to release, or take that right hand up off the floor. So now you're balancing on 3 points, and you're going to take that hand to the outside of the left thigh. Slide that hand down the leg toward the ankle to wherever you can hold on to. Keep pressing through the left shoulder. Now, if this is starting to put too much pressure on your shoulder, just release into child's pose to rest. Otherwise, taking hold of the ankle and starting to turn over toward the left side. Breathing all the way into the belly, twisting over. Nice. Exhale, slowly release. Let's come straight onto the other side. Left hand underneath the body to the outside of the right thigh. Slide it down to the outside of the ankle, twisting over toward your right. Gazing out underneath the armpit. Keep pressing out firmly through your right hand. Bend your left arm so you're using your bicep to draw your chest over toward the right. Exhale, release. Nice. Slowly walk your feet toward the top of your mat. Take your big toes to touch and fold over. Pressing through the feet, you're going to rise on up super slow. all the way back to standing. Awesome. Let's have a little go on the other side. Stay where you are. This time we're going to step the right foot back, coming onto the next side. So hands to the hips, facing to the front of your mat. You're going to step your right leg back into that lunge position. Okay? So lunge position, making sure that foot is nice and far, toes to the ground and hips facing forward. When you're ready, start to bend through the front knee, sitting down through the hips, squeezing that back thigh on. Remember, it can be bent. If you're feeling any lower back discomfort, then just bend that back knee. Otherwise, pressing through the back heel, squeezing the thighs in towards each other, hips facing forward. Full breath in, long exhale out. From here, sweep the fingers forward and up, rising on up, smooth breaths in, and long exhales out. Relax the shoulders away from the ears, taking them down the spine. One more breath here. From here, release that left hand alongside the body. Fingers point towards the floor. You might see them tucking out underneath the underside. Reach the right hand up and over, stretching through the right side of waist. Breathing there. Keep your balance. Smooth breath in. Long exhale out. Slowly rise on up, back to your lunge. Nice. And then from here, start to straighten through the front leg. Shift the hips to face forward a little more, squeezing the inner thighs in a little stronger. And then from here, you're going to fold forward, hinging from the hips. Find your balance, halfway, lowering down, open through the chest. Keep that back heel lifted, come onto the ball of the foot. Staying there, hand resting on the thigh, hips wherever you want, or maybe even releasing your fingertips to the floor. If you need to, gently hop that back foot in slightly, toes both facing forward. Straightening through both legs. Remember to micro bend through that front knee to protect it, or if the hamstring's quite tight, then bend that knee as much as you need to. And then as you exhale, we're just going to fold over, rounding towards the front knee. Let the head hang down, draw your elbows in towards each other, so you're activating sides of waist to keep yourself strong. Grounding through the feet, rounding over, so finding balance. One more breath here. Nice. Slowly releasing after your exhale. And then from here, bending through the front knee. Step your right to meet your left. Big toes touch. Fold over the legs. Pressing through the feet, rising on up. Palms touch up and overhead. Exhale, release, hands to heart center. All right, let's just have another little play with some standing. So we've done a little work with the hamstrings and opening up the hips. So let's have a little play with an extension. All right, so take your feet about hip width apart, toes to face forward, bending through the knees, so you're grounding down through the feet. A really important foundation here, because we don't want to shift the feet after we start to move into the position. They're going to wobble and shake as it is. From here, you're going to shift the weight into your right foot, and you're going to come up onto the left tippy toes. Nice. So you can see that my knee is bent, and the knee's pointing out kind of in a diagonal direction toward the left. So it's not straight out to the side, it's kind of out on a 45-degree angle. It's balancing there. So to press through that right foot now, engage the core, and we're just going to slowly start to lift the knee, or the toes actually, up off the floor, using the strength in our core and the strength in our hip flexors. Nice. Draw the heel in towards the buttocks, lifting up nice and high, staying there. And you can either stay here, and if it gets too much, just simply take your hands to the front of the shins and hug the knee in and find your balance there. Otherwise, if you want to take a little bit more strength and lengthening, you're going to take a piston grip with the second and third finger to the inside of your big toe. Nice. Now draw the heel in towards the buttocks and let the knee and hip open up. And then from here, you're going to start to straighten through the left leg and extend it long. Now your left arm will be long as well, and it's quite strong for the inner groin and hamstring. Keep the heart lifted. Breathing there, smooth breath in, long exhale out. Slowly releasing, bending the knee. Keep hugging the knee up in towards the chest. Square it off to the front of your mat now. And then from here, drop the knee out toward the left, and the foot crosses the top of the right thigh. So it's just above the knee. Breathing there, either staying here, feeling the opening through the hip flexor, Or if you want to go a little deeper, take the hands to the heart center, palms pressed together, shoulders relaxed down, and then start to sit into a seat, into a 4-point connection here, grounding down. Nice, breathing there, full breath in, long exhale out. One more. Slowly pressing through that bottom leg, lifting on up, and then hug the knee in towards the chest, extend the foot forward, and release. Woo, let's shake out that right leg now and come straight onto the other side. Grounding down through the feet, the foundations for this pose. Grounding down, bending the knees, shift the weight into the left leg, and then from here, come up onto the tippy toes of your right foot. And the knee kind of goes out onto that 45-degree angle, diagonally away from the center. Nice. Find that lightness through the right leg as you inhale. Start to squeeze the thigh on, core works, and start to draw the knee up and in, hands to the hips. Nice. Breathing there, remembering to stay here as long as you can, or taking the hands to the front of the shin, drawing the knee in. Breathe, 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 breathe. Pretty much core foundation of yoga is to breathe. And if you did so before, if you need to take hold of the knee for the next part, or you can take a piston grip with the second and third finger on the right hand, take hold of the big toe. Draw the heel in towards the buttocks a little bit more, open and lift through the chest. And then as you exhale, start to straighten through your right leg, extending it long. Balancing through the left, feeling the legs negotiate and shake. Mine too. Woo. Full breath in. Long exhales out. Let's take one more breath. Really grounding down through that left leg and slowly releasing on your exhale. Draw the knee back to center, hands back to the hips. Then drop that right knee out towards the right and the foot crosses over, or the outside of the ankle actually crosses over the top of the left thigh, just above the knee. Staying there, grounding down, opening, keep pressing the knee toward the floor, feeling that opening through the inner groin, hip flexor. And if you did so on the other side, let's find our balance. Hands to press in prayer position. And then slowly start to bend the left knee and sit down into your seat. Sit the bottom back behind the heel, okay? And just find a little bit of lightness here. Sitting, grounding down through the left foot, collarbones broaden, spine is long, keep squeezing the left glute and dropping the hips down. Take one more breath. Slowly rising on up with your inhale. Hug the knee up and in, hand to the shin if you like, and then extend the leg forward and release it down. Shake out the legs. Whew, nice job, guys. That's some hard work there. So kudos to you if you got that nice and tight. All right, let's go a little deeper into these hips. I'm feeling like we're all holding a lot of emotional issues going on, and especially being stuck in isolation or quarantine. So let's make our way down onto the mat into your down face dog. So down face dog, hands are shoulder width apart, feet hip width apart, grounding down through the fingers. So now this is more of a resting pose as we let the head hang down, pressing out through the fingers and the knuckles on both hands. Smooth breath in and a long exhale out. One more breath. Full exhale. And then from here, you're going to look to the front of your mat and you're going to step. Now, two options here. You're going to step your left foot forward to the inside of the thumb on the left hand or the outside. So we want to ultimately get the foot to the outside anyway. So just see if you can hop that left foot all the way to the outside of your left hand into a lizard position. All right, so now this takes a little bit of practice. If you can only hop it up so far, just use your hand, wiggle it all the way up, take it to the outside of the left hand, and now come down onto your back knee. So hands beneath the shoulders, foot on the outside of the left hand, and as you lower your hips down towards the floor, you'll start to get deeper into that left hip and opening through the front of your right hip flexor. Option to stay here, Or if you like, you can come down onto the elbows and the forearms. Keep that knee lifted and keep hugging it into the inside of the left shoulder. Yes, keep squeezing it in, pressing through the big toe. Foot is pointing forward. The option is stay here. I'm going to stay here for about 3 to 5 breaths. Otherwise, option to tuck the back toes and lift that back knee, squeezing the thigh on, and press through the back heel. Keep lowering your hips down so it gets a little bit deeper. Those that wanting a little bit more of a stretch, going a little further, finding your breath. Take 3 more breaths here. Long exhales out. 2 more breaths. Final breath. And then simply to come out of this, you're gonna release the back knee to the ground, take the hands beneath the shoulders, and then from here, just take that left foot back to meet the right. And we're simply gonna change sides, okay? So we're gonna step, or actually we'll lift back up into down face dog. So hips come high, heels come down. Breathing deep. This gives you a little bit more space between the hips and the floor, so that when you step that foot forward, you've got a little bit more room, as opposed to being down on your knees and trying to swing it wide. Nice, breathe there. And then when you're ready, you're going to step that right foot forward to the outside of your right hand. Wiggle that left foot back, come down onto your back knee. Maybe take your time in getting your foot all the way up to the front. So lizard pose here, getting deeper into the hips, hugging that knee in towards the side of the shoulder and lowering your hips down. Option here is to tuck the back toes and press out through the heel. It gives it a little bit more activation through the front of the thigh and the quad, and get a little bit deeper through the hips. Remembering, same option you did on the other side. If you wanted to come down onto your elbows, keep that knee hugging in, keep pressing the big toe of the right foot down into the floor. Try not to let it fall out at this stage. Nice, breathing deep. Same option, 5 breaths here, or 3 to 5 breaths. Otherwise, squeezing that left thigh on, pressing out through the back heel and lifting the knee up off the ground. Breathe all the way into the belly and a long breath out. Let's take those 3 breaths in and 4 exhales out. Try not to let your mind wander too much. Keep your focus on your breath. Coming into your final breath. Nice. Slowly releasing the back knee to the ground. If it's lifted, come up onto the hands. And then from here, you're going to take that right foot back to meet the left. And let's come back into child's pose to rest. Take a breath in. Long exhale out. Let's take our arms alongside the body for a moment here. And just keep the back of the neck long, shoulders rolling forward and fingers reaching towards the back edge of your mat. Breathe all the way into the belly. Feel the weight of the buttocks sinking back toward the heels. Alright, let's come and make our way into pigeon pose from here. So this is quite strong. So for those that maybe need a different kind of option, have knee issues, and maybe can't make their way down onto the floor, you have the option of this to do it on your back as well. Okay, so let's make our way back into our down face dog. Hands hip width, shoulder width apart, feet hip width apart, softening the heels down. From here, we're going to take our right leg toward the sky first. Draw the leg up, lift the leg up, and then draw the knee in towards the chest, but drop your foot over toward the left behind the left wrist and your knee behind the right wrist. So you're taking your shin essentially across your mat. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle with your left foot back behind you, top of foot to the floor. So you want to look back behind you and make sure that that left leg is super straight as much as you can, top of foot to the floor. And maybe even your right shin, maybe you can draw the heel in towards the groin a little more if it's too intense, or start to wiggle the foot towards the top of your mat a little more. Sitting down into your pigeon, Ekapada, Raja Kapotasana. Nice, breathing there, opening through the heart, sitting down through the hips. Now, if your hips are miles off the floor and you don't have the option, you can grab a block or a bolster, a cushion or a towel and pop it in underneath your right hip, and that will help give some support through the hips so you can soften the body down. Now, keep drawing the hips to face forward toward the front of your mat, opening up. And then if you like, you can come down onto your elbows, lengthening the spine long. Option here is to take the fingers all the way forward and rest the forehead down into your sleeping pigeon. And it's really nice to stay here for about 5 breaths. So go ahead and make your way down into your nice comfortable position wherever you be. And we really want to focus on the energy happening in the hips here. We want to feel the weight of the hips sinking down evenly. We're not collapsing over to the right side. Okay, so we don't want to collapse the right buttocks down. We want to keep drawing the front of the left hip down into the floor. Keep pressing the shoulders towards the hips, opening through the heart. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And the full exhales out. And after your final exhale, we're slowly going to rise back on up. Now, if you are laying on your back for this one, then you can make your way back over into child's pose. Otherwise, you're going to swing that left leg forward all the way to the front of your mat. So no hands here. If you can use just the core muscles, and then just walk your right foot over and take your left leg atop of the right thigh. So ultimately you're going to come into almost a little pretzel, a little shoelace here. Hopefully you can see, even though we're wearing dark clothing. So walk the foot out toward the right, and the right foot's out toward the left. So getting into the outside of the hips here now. Breathing deep, relax the shoulders, soften the face. Then from here, take your arms wide, palms to face down. You're going to draw the hands in towards the front of your body, facing forward. And then you're going to take your right arm underneath your left. Now, keep a space between the hands. Now, feel like you're squeezing an invisible ball between the hands. You can turn the bottom palm to face up too. And then squeezing that ball, you're activating the arms and drawing them in towards each other without actually touching. From here, take the arms a little wider, keep that activation. And then from here, wrapping the arms around, we're going to take a bind, okay? So taking a bind of eagle arms here, taking hold of the wrist, the back of the hands to press, or even the palms to press. Draw the elbows away from the face and the fingertips toward the sky. Breathing all the way into the belly. Feel the back, the shoulders open. Smooth breath in, long exhale out. Take 1 more breath here. And exhale, unravel slowly. Take your arms wide. Take your hands back behind you. Rock back onto your bottom, uncrossing the legs, extend them wide. And we're going to simply change sides, okay? So just taking that left leg underneath the right this time, crossing over, knees are top of each other, sitting both sit bones down into the floor. Beautiful. Sitting down into your seat, feeling outside of the hips, spine is tall and long. Again, take your arms wide, palms face down, and then draw the hands in towards each other. This time crossing the left over top of the right. Turn the left palm to face up, like you're squeezing a ball in between your hands, drawing the arms in towards each other without actually touching. Take the arms a little wider, so now the elbows cross over. Keep that squeezing activation there. And then taking the elbows to touch, you're going to wrap and bind the hands. Back of the hands to touch, palms to touch, or just holding the wrist. Draw the elbows away from the body and the fingertips toward the sky. Breathing all the way into the belly. Feel the space between the shoulder blades. Nice, opening up. Full breath in. Long exhale out. Take 1 more breath. And exhale, slowly unravel. Awesome. And then from here, rock back onto your bottom. Uncross the legs and take them over to one side. Make your way over back into your down face dog. Hips come high. As you exhale, the heels come down. Take a full breath in and that long exhale out. Let's take our pigeon on the other side now. So from here, take your left leg toward the sky, 3-legged dog, lift it up nice and high. As you exhale, curl the knee towards the chest, but take the knee behind the left wrist and the foot behind the right, taking your shin across the mat. Lower the leg down And then that back leg, you want to take it nice and long, walk it back and behind, look back and behind, make sure that that leg is nice and straight, the top of the foot to the floor. Grabbing your block that you needed, block, blanket, cushion or towel underneath your left buttocks. Going to sink the hips down towards the floor. So breathing there, smooth breath in, long exhale out. Nice. If you did so on the other side, you're going to slowly come down onto your elbows. Keep even weight through the hips, the front of your right hip now drawing forward and down evenly with the left buttocks. Same option if you did on the other side, taking your arms and extending them forward into your sleeping pigeon. Even just take a moment here to close down your eyes and just feel the breath moving in and out. Feel the lungs expand as you inhale. Feel them soften, draw back in towards the ribcage, in towards the spine as you exhale. Keep pressing the shoulders back towards the hips, space around the neck. Breathing deep. Try to relax the left glute, thigh, and allow the hip to sink deeper with each breath out. Awesome. From here, you're going to slowly come on up, back to the hands. And then from here, we're going to press back into a three-legged dog. Okay, so just take our time planting the hands down, hand shoulder width apart, walk those back toes in slightly, tucking the toes, draw the belly in, round through the upper back, and then start to draw the knee up and extend the leg up, back to three-legged dog. Soften the leg down. Walking out that left leg, feeling everything come back to the hip joint. Nice, and then we're going to soften down into the knees. Let's take a little kneeling position from here. So kneeling, let's just come over onto sitting onto our heels. Okay, option here. And the reason I'm turning to face you is because if you're not really feeling a lot of sensation here, then you can take Virasana, which is taking the feet wider, knees a little wider, so there's a space between the thighs, and then you're sitting your bottom back between the heels. Okay, so then you're getting a lot more of a stretch through the front of the shins and the quads. Sitting up nice and tall, breathing deep, smooth breath in, long exhale out. So we're going to reach our left arm up and then taking the hand over top of the head, over toward the right ear. We're going to drop the head over toward the left. Breathing deep, feel the side of the neck lengthen. Maybe you take your right hand, fingertips to the floor, lengthening it long. Nice, and then slowly rise on up with the head. Now you're going to reach that right hand over top, take hold of the left elbow, release that left hand off the ear now, and then draw the elbow nice and high toward the sky, stretching through the left side of the body. Breathing here. Anytime you feel discomfort through the knees, please change position, maybe come over into cross-legged if you need to, or just try to feel the space that you need to create. Inhale, rise on up. Exhale, release the arms. Nice. Now let's come on to the other side. So as I said, change the legs position if you need to. But from here, we're going to reach up with the right hand, take over toward the left ear, taking the left fingertips to the floor, dropping the head over toward the right, stretching through the left side of the neck. Breathing all the way down into the belly, belly slightly drawn in, working there. Nice, just keep flowing here as you draw the head back to center. You're going to keep the hand, release the hand from the ear, reach up and over with the left hand, taking hold of the elbow. Now that right hand can just fall behind you now, down toward the spine. And then from here, draw the elbow over toward the left, stretching through the right side of body. Breathing all the way into the belly. Core is on. One more breath. Slowly rise on up, exhale, release. Nice. From here, take your fingers out in front, come up onto your knees, release your feet, and then slowly just extend the legs forward. Nice. From here, you'll feel a lot of opening through the front of the shins, the quads, and the ankles. So just give a little moment here for them to roll out and release. Beautiful. So from here, let's just take a nice gentle forward fold, okay? So this can just be super slow, easy. You don't have to stay there very long, but we want to release the whole back side of the body a little more. So from here, you start to squeeze the thighs on and activate the toes so they pull in towards the shins. As you inhale, reach the hands up. As you exhale, we're going to fold forward, hinging from the hips. So this movement is coming from the hips and not just reaching and rounding through the fingers. Move from the hips. Now don't worry if you can't come far. If that's where you're at, stay there, and then slowly just release your hands to the shins, ankles, or the outside of the feet. So you can see that there's not a lot of rounding of my upper body. Don't try to make yourself like very rigid either. We want to create fluidity, and we want to allow the body to, create space in its own time. When you've been practicing for yoga for a little while, you'll start to realize that the body will do things when you actually start to breathe and let go of, a certain look or shape. We just want everything to surrender forward. So we're really drawing the belly toward the thighs. If your hamstrings are super tight, I always encourage people to bend their knees, belly rest on the thighs, and just let the head hang over. You're still getting that beautiful stretch through the entire backside of your body, but there's less pressure on acute discomforts and pain so much. So just be kind to your body. Let's take one more breath. Exhale fully. Inhale, slowly rise on up. Nice. And then from here, we're going to come over onto our bottom into a bridge. So shuffle your bottom to the center of your mat, and you're going to slowly lower down onto your back. Extend the hands up toward the sky, palms pressed together, fingers point up toward the ceiling, and then walk your feet in a little closer to your bottom. The feet are hip width apart, toes facing forward. If you were to reach for your heels, then you would almost graze the back edge of your heels with your fingers. So you want them in underneath your knees, ideally. Hands lengthen up, pressing through the palms. Activate the outer arms, squeezing your shoulder blades back in towards each other at the back of the spine. Nice, draw the belly in, press through the heels, start to squeeze the bottom, and start to lift, just slowly, the hips only up off the floor. So not your upper back, keep pressing upper back and the thoracic spine into the mat. Squeeze the bottom, lift the hips only up off the floor. And lowering down. Nice, let the pelvis tilt. Draw the belly in. Let's do that again. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, lowering down. One more. Drawing the belly in, lifting up. Exhale, lower down. Release the hands, take the palms alongside the body. Let's take our Setu Bandha Savangasana, bridge pose from here. So shuffle the shoulders away from the ears. Press the shoulder blades down into the floor, palms face down, pressing down through the feet as we did before. Start to squeeze the bottom, but now your hips lift a little higher and your mid-back lift up off the floor. Press the back of the head down into the floor, lift the chin towards the ceiling a little more, pressing through the shoulders, start to lift and open through the hips. Nice. Now try not to look out to the side of your mat at all for this one. You don't want to put any undue pressure through the neck. Keep lifting and opening through the heart, breathing all the way into the belly. Squeeze the bottom, lift the hips. You're opening through front side of body as you strengthen the back side of body. If you feel like your knees are collapsing wide, squeeze the inner thighs in towards each other, just allowing a small gap through the thighs. So don't draw them in too close. You want ideally the hips and the knees in one line, like you were standing up. One more breath here. Lift a little higher. And as you exhale, you're going to slowly, super slowly lower down all the way to the floor, releasing down. Tailbone coming down. From here, draw the knees in towards the chest, hugging them in, releasing your lower back. So gentle rock side to side, hugging the knees in, forward and back. And let's just do a little supine twist to end. So just take your arms wide, palms face down. Take your shins parallel to the floor, toes pointing to the top side of your mat. From here, you're going to twist over toward the right first. So pressing through the palms, twisting from the belly button down, take the knees over toward the right. Keep that left shoulder pressing back down into the floor. If it lifts momentarily as you come down, that's okay. But now we want to press that left shoulder down into the floor. So if the knees are going to come down and the side of waist is super tight, then you can take a blanket or a cushion in underneath the knees to lift the knees up a little higher. Take the pressure off the twist through the spine. Ideally, with time and breath, then the body starts to surrender down. So just allow everything to just soften with your exhale. Just 2 more breaths here. Shoulders pressing toward the hips, neck is open, jaw is soft. And your final breath. Slowly start to engage the core, draw the top knee back up to center, followed by the bottom. And then we're going to come over to the other side. So twisting from the belly button down, taking the knees over toward the left, pressing through the palms, letting that right shoulder rest down, pressing it into the floor. And you can keep gazing up toward the ceiling. Those that have been practicing me with a while will know that you can just turn your head out to the side and even release your palms to face up. Breathing all the way into the belly, smooth breath in, long exhale out. Taking a few more breaths, adjusting the body down, letting it soften. Don't worry if you're feeling a little stuck, just breathe into that space and let it all go. And after your final exhale, you can slowly turn the palms to face down, squeeze the core on, start to take the top knee back up to center, followed by the bottom. Nice, hug the knees towards the chest, releasing the lower back any way that feels good for you. And then we're going to just come into our Shavasana for just a moment or two, just allowing the body to rest down. Feel free to hit the pause button here and stay here as long as you need to. We just want to take the legs long and the feet are about hip width apart. So you want pretty much the feet out to the top corners of your mat. So heel out to each corner, arms alongside the body with the palms to face up. A little space through the armpits, shoulders pressing back towards the hips, shoulder blades tucking in underneath the ribs. Now lengthen the neck long, back of the head resting down. Start to soften the back of the body down into the floor and just close down your eyes. Breathing all the way into the belly. Just allow yourself to become immersed in the sensations of your body and the rhythm of your breath. If you're here feeling any tension, then just taking note of it, but not buying into the story. Feeling the wholeness of your body and the softness of your breath. Slowly start to awaken the body, bringing your awareness back to the space inside the room. Just feeling the mat beneath you, the air around you. Knowing you're supported in this space. Slowly bring movement back into the body by wiggling through the fingers, through the toes. And then just lengthen the arms up and overhead, point out through the fingers, point out through the toes. Lengthen the body long. And then drawing the knees in towards the chest one by one, hugging them in, releasing your lower back. And making your way over onto one side and pressing yourself back up to a comfortable seated position. Rejoining me back on the mat. Just take this moment to close down your eyes and feeling the space of which your body occupies. Feel the space of your body, softness of your breath. Slowly take the hands to heart center, palms pressed together, thumbs point back toward the heart. Taking this time to acknowledge you in your practice, bowing the forehead toward the fingers and ending our practice. Together we say, Namaste. Thank you guys for joining me again all the way to the end for this practice. I really love delivering these classes for you, and I am so grateful for your support. Please hit the subscribe button and even the little ring bell that has notifications for all the new classes that come out. Until next time, have a good one.